This is the Bar Stewards Enquiry.
Right? You're talking absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish.
In what way?
You were an underachiever in life. I saved your bacon one time. You were gone.
You handled that well. I couldn't save you. But you did the right thing.
But that's why you don't know anything about racing, John.
I didn't say I do.
Right?
I'm saying that...
What have you contributed to racing? You're one of these take-out merchants. Take out all you can.
Hello and welcome to the Bar Stewards Enquiry Weekend podcast, where this weekend we've got a feast of action from Cheltenham for the national hunt enthusiasts amongst you. We've got Doncaster, the Vertem Futurity, and obviously Newbury's horrid hill meeting towards the end of the flat season. And joining me this evening are some absolutely first-class judges. We've got John Lang. Good evening, John.
I've had a busy week. I've written 122 letters to the 1922 committee.
That's only one more than Andrew Bridging.
I was determined to beat them.
Right, next certainly, this is a pleasure to have him back on. He's the Naps King at the moment, and he's leading going into the final weeks of the season. He's had a great season tipping. Andy Richmond, good evening, Andy.
Good evening. Let's hope it doesn't end up like a shit show of the government of that this week, or I get contrived out of it by the like the Racing Post Naps table did. Bit of collusion, I think, there, wasn't there?
Yeah,
they got bundled over in the end. I was pleased to see.
I think. I mean, working it out. I think I'd make you about a 4-9 chance to win this competition for the season.
As it's safe for gambling week, I won't be lumping on.
No, he's probably about right, that I think. But it's an exciting finish between me, you, and Nick Davis. We're the only three that can win it. Jack, of course, who joins us tonight, is topping the table, but unfortunately for Jack, because he's joined the Bar Stewards quite late, he's got to have tipped 48 points. That's the rule. So, basically, done 8 shows, which is unfortunate for Jack, because Jack, you'd have been in with a shout as well, wouldn't you?
Well, it might be beginners luckily, and also the jumps is coming, and it's time to ruin all of that. So, we'll stick on with the last couple of weeks of the good stuff and see where we end up.
Absolutely, yeah. Me and John are with you in that camp. Andy, of course, loves the old jumps.
That rubbish we saw on the slop at Newbury and Doncaster today. What a pile of crap that was.
Yeah, it's not pretty, is it? I have to admit, it's not pretty.
All you flat enthusiasts moaning about us jumped enthusiasts, on the slop, and you had plenty of it today. Load of old rubbish today.
Yeah, no, but I've got 3 corkers anyway on my best bets on that slop. So, without further ado, then let's go for it. Andy, I'm coming to you first for your.
Come to me first. So I'm going to have a little 1 pointer. It's no surprise that all 3 of mine, or actually 4, because I'm having a bit of split slate wankering, are over the sticks. No surprise at all.
No, 2 good beatings.
We're going to have 1 point on the Editor de Gite from the Moore stable. He went to the. I thought he ran well last year. He's got a touch of class about him, this horse. And I think that, round 2 miles, Cheltenham, it's perfect for him. He went to the Grand Annual after missing the Game Spirit last year. I think they gave him a shot over 2.5 in the end, and don't think that really suited him. You've got a rare Willie Mullins runner coming over in Dad's Lad, but don't really fancy him. Economic Fizz is a little bit small for fences. I suppose the fly in the ointment, and I am a massive fan of this stable, the Laura Morgan stable. Have got clear the runway. They've had it right off with on a few occasions. Always keep an eye out for horses with minimal hurdles form with a point-to-point background. It can be quite successful. Clear the runways, 5 from 7 over fences. He's stepping up now, but I think Editor de Gite will outclass him around Cheltenham. Looks almost perfect for him. I'll have a point on Editor G. I believe he's around 3 to 130.
7-2 to you, Andy, with the Stokes slot. So 1 point on 7-2, Editor de Gite, and everyone's cheering that one on. because Clear the Runway is favourite with the dirty Alan Rogers owning that one. Dirty former Forest footballer that's landing gambles over galore, getting them off 80 and improving them 40.
Colours have done rather well. She's done very well with those. She's got a dark one tomorrow. She's picked up from I forgot where she's picked up from. Is it Caroline Saunders? I think Caroline Bailey. She's picked it up from matchmaking up at Kelso. Keep an eye on that one. Good trainer, Morgan. Very good trainer.
She is. So, Alan Rogers, if you listen to this, yes, you know what you're doing. Yeah, well done, by the way. And Andy kicks us off with 7-2. Editor Dejit. That's some good stuff. John Joe Leng, I'm coming to you for your 1 pointer.
Pretty bland sort of suggestion, really. This is Young Fire in the 120 at Doncaster. Copes nicely with giving the ground. More importantly, he's suited to Danny No Hope riding him.
Yeah, Tudor, yeah.
Definitely gets the best chilling out of this horse because he'll let him find himself in the race and take his time and come through late. Tracks out that style of ride as well. He's definitely well handicapped, £8 lower than his highest this year. And he's threatened to win. He ran a really good race at Haydock. I think it was about 3 runs back. I think he can take this anyway, 1 point win.
Yeah, I like the draw as well, John. I think middle to low. I think that's where we sort of need to be at Doncaster at the moment. That's how it's ridden in the last few meetings. 12-1 could look good. 1 point win. That's all over the place. Young Fire for John there to kick us off. Jack, coming to you.
Yep, so I'm over at Newbury on the slop, as Andy rightly pointed out, and we're off to the 4:15, which is the Horris Hill Handicap, and it's an old friend, or perhaps probably more likely an old foe, and that's Fantastic Fox. He's back on the track after an absence since Ascot, where he finished a miraculous 107 lengths last in the Royal Hunt Cup, which, needless to say, I was all over him for. Trainer that day put it down to the ground being too quick, and looking at his form, he does do his best work on the softer stuff, so I'm hoping he can cope with the pretty hopeless conditions tomorrow. But I think after an absence, and I do think there is a horse here. I think John's put him up before. He's a very frustrating one to back, I have to say, but I think one more go at him. Drawn in 2, I think he should go forward from there, and I'd much prefer to see a more positive ride on him. And I think there is a horse there in somewhere. I mean, I think the gelding got something out of him. His best performance of late was back at Haydock, where he came through on, and we all know what Haydock testing ground can be like. So I'm hoping he can step forward a little bit today, and I thought sort of 8-1 or so was fair enough.
17-2 available for you, Jack.
Is that Stoke?
Yes, Stoke, and I think there's someone else that's offering 17-2. No, it is Stoke. It is the slot from Stoke. Yes.
Have they taken Caradoc out of that race because he's a non-runner?
Yes.
Yes. There is actually, Caradoc's just gone, but they have cut. They have cut it since that. It was, I think it was quite bigger earlier on in the day.
On this afternoon's evidence, he's at least drawn in the right place because it looked like you needed to be amongst the lower numbers.
Yeah, he's sort of like middle track. Yeah. If you came stand side at Newbury today, it wasn't good.
So give up.
So yeah, very very good, Jack. Kicking off there with 17-2. Okay, my entry into the first round is in the 150 at Newbury, the Horrid Hill. You've got to have a bet in the Horrid Hill. Every year I have a bet in the Horrid Hill, simply because it usually is sloppy ground and it's quite fun. Anyway, there's one here that is just a little bit of value. It was bigger, but sadly, Thumbhead of Betfair decided to tip this up at 8-1 earlier in the day. Tony, if you're listening, you're a disgrace. You've spoiled it for everyone. I was sat on this. This was going to be my 3-pointer. It was going to be the Michael Jordan, the slam dunk at 8-1. And what have you done? You've tipped it. You're a disgrace. And all that's left is 5-1. So I've had to downgrade it because of. I'll tell you what price. I make it a 3-1 chance. 3-1, 100 to 30, round about that range. So 5-1 is still good. 1 point win. This horse was incredibly impressive last time, winning a nursery by 6 lengths. If this had been a mile race, a Group 3 mile race, I'd have made him 7 or 4. But because the ground's so testing and holding, I don't think we'll see which way this one goes. They'll just point him out.
Tell us what it's called.
Oh yeah, Gray's Monument. Sorry, Ralph Beckett. So, do you know what's funny? That's weird because I messaged someone today with the same what spiel as I said now to say have a few quid on, and I didn't say the name then either. I'm losing it. It's official. So sorry about that. Gray's Monument, of Rafe Ralph. They can
Rafe and Ralph.
They can pat each other on the back after this bolts up. It should be shorter, 5-1. Betfair, Boyle Sports, good luck with that one, and Betway.
Good luck with that one as well.
Yeah, 3 classic firms where you can get plenty on.
And I've had a safer gambling memo off them all.
Absolutely, safer gambling memos, and I'm sure some of you might get the old account dormant message, where you, of course, might have left 7 quid in an account and they want to take it back off you in increments of 7% a month or something like that because you've left it dormant. Lovely people, these bookmakers. Anyway, on to the next round where we've got a two pointers. The old simple basketball shot. Jack, coming to you.
So I'm off over to the Emerald Isle for my second best, and it's in the 420 Group 3 Airfield Stakes. Aidan O'Brien, as expected, comes pretty mob-handed with 3, and I've chosen one of his. So he's got Gulf of Mexico and the other one, who's the Fav as I last checked, but I can't remember the name, which is always good, but I'm not on either of them. Hippodrome, that's the one. So I'm taking the third selection, which is Hiawatha. He's got some form ties with the first 2. He beat Hippodrome on a couple of starts ago quite handily. He's got some collateral form in with a horse called Sea Legend with Gulf of Mexico, beat him by a couple of lengths further, which I know is always a bit subjective, but I was quite surprised to see him open up as the biggest of the 3. And I thought, this horse is a full brother to Luxembourg, who we know very well. Handles cut in the ground, so I don't think that should be an issue tomorrow. He was in that Goff's Millions last time out, which is relating to another horse I'm about to talk about a bit later on. And I just thought the race was a bit of a mess. I don't begrudge anyone for sending anything there. It was ludicrous prize money, but willing to put a line through that if I'm honest. And I think, looking at the jockey booking as well, Billy Lee's up, who I really do like. I'm pretty sure he's in a pretty hotly contested battle with Colin Keane at the moment. I think there's a couple in it, so he should be looking for winners tomorrow and riding positively. And I thought sort of 5-1 looked a little bit big. I mean, he's been punted in on pretty much all of his starts so far, so I can't see him going off there. And I think he's probably a horse to look forward to next year, and I expect him to get the job done. 2-point win.
2-point win. Hiawatha for the Coolmore operation at 6-1. With Stoke. Yes, extra points for you there. 5-1 with the Mountains, but 6-1 with Stoke. Very pleasing for you that. And Jack thinks Hiawatha will break out and hopefully possibly make all the running, or at least sit handy and do the business there for his 2-pointer. Thank you, Jack. John.
Get your klaxon ready.
Go on, I'm interested.
Fantastic Fox, 415 Newbury.
That's a terrible idea. That sounds like some kind of.
It sounds like the bloke.
Let's have a look at what you're good at. Yeah. What the fucking hell was that?
It's shit. Anyway, it's the best I can offer.
Jess hasn't had a Lizzie Cundy done, has she? That's what that sounded like.
Sorry. Anyway.
Sorry, Jess.
Right.
To ask.
So, Fantastic Fox, yeah. So, that's the klaxon off.
Well, it's the first time we've had some give in the ground since he won at Haydock, just £4 lower, and he dotted up that day. He's had mitigation since, and he's had his knackers off. The Epsom run on well-watered ground was sickeningly positive for me earlier this year, and it led to me doing my bollocks at Ascot.
Likewise.
I'm not worried about him being off since Ascot because he's had entries for about a month. So they've been clearly waiting on the right opportunity. If this isn't it, they've wasted the entire year with this horse, really, haven't they? So,
yeah,
2 points win.
No, I like it. No, same for Jack's reasons. So yeah, this is strong, folks. We don't confer beforehand. So 2 points win for John. Same 17. No, 8s for John after his insults. So 17-2 for John.
I already asked a question.
Right, Andy, your go.
I know there's no chance of any klaxons with you lot on here because there's no chance any of you lot are going to choose a national anthem, so you'll have to soon, won't you?
We will.
Unless you get Franks on and he's on the all-weather rubbish.
Well, I'm making a pact during the national hunt season because I'll price up the tipping challenge again that I have to tip on national hunt unless I genuinely can't.
Right.
Then I'm allowed maybe an odd flat bet.
Okay.
But, you know what Franks is like? Franks will be like all weather.
I had a conversation with him the other night about some dodgy all-weather horses that he was punting up. Since they got rid of the fibre sand, my interest in the all-weather has waned somewhat. But
indeed, I agree with you there. So
but if it floats your boat, as I always say, I never get there. Just quickly before I do the old 2 point, I never get the sort of this is a proper racing. That's it. If you like it, you like it. Just get on with it and enjoy it. Jesus.
Indeed.
I mean, it's like the fact like you're flat against jumps against flat. If you enjoy it, just go and enjoy it. Don't have to, all the proper racing stuff. No, it's just racing. It's horses running around a flipping field. Some jump fences and some run on the flat. There you go. Simple as that. Right, crack on. I'm going to go against Uncle Charles Burns here, so I'm playing with fire. I'm very near the fire here at Cheltenham in the old Pertemps qualifier, which is down to 4. You have to get in the first 4 this year.
That's interesting.
That should be interesting, shouldn't it? And we've got 18 turning up tomorrow, so I'm going to have a couple of stabs at this with a couple of horses I like, but keep an eye on the Mr. Burns with Shoot First, but that's not one of them. The first one is going to be the very well handicapped Botox Haas, who is incredibly well handicapped. He took a big step up on. He won this Grade 2 National Spirit Hurdle, and I can't quite understand how he only got shoved up a pound for doing it. And he beat horses like Brewing Up a Storm, Guard Your Dreams, Monreal, Darver Star. Now they're all a little bit below top class, but he was a 20-to-1 shot. Now, and he has his first run since that success in February. I thought he should be favourite here, but obviously he's sort of vying for it with Uncle Charles at the moment with Shoot First. That race was only over 2-3, but I think he's got a bit of untapped potential at 3 miles. And the other one I want to back in the race, I couldn't split these two, so I'm going to have to have a point on each. The other one is Antuleur. I've probably said that wrong, but from the John Joe O'Neill stable, who have started the season very, very well. He ran up a little sort of sequence last year, and even the last time he ran, which was at Cartmel, he ran pretty well that day. He's a horse I've always liked, and I just think he's got a little bit of untapped potential. The last time we saw him was back in May, and he ran 2nd of 13 at Cartmel, which is not the sort of place you'd normally expect to see a Cheltenham sort of preparation. But he's been off a long time. He got beaten by Weeby that day, but it was one of the better races at Cartmel. They do have some good ones there. And I just think he's a little bit unexposed at staying trips. The race he won at Haydock on the 16th of April, to be exact, was a good race he ran there. And he was good earlier in the season. He's one of those horses, he doesn't win by far. And I think the handicappers just not quite got hold of him yet. And I say the stables had a good start to the season. I'm going to split mistakes. I'm going to have a point on Botox, the well handicapped Botox has. And I think the equally well handicapped Antuleur as well. Point on each. But I am a bit frightened of Shoot First, who jumped like a camel last time out. But you take on Mr. Burns at your peril, but I'm going to take him on with a point on each of those two. Botox has an Antuleur.
Good stuff. 6-1 Botox has with Ladbrokes and Coral. 15-2 Antuleur with William Hill. Coral as well. Antuleur, Andy, I did my bollocks on him in May at Cartmel.
He didn't really get the run. He didn't get the run of the race round. As you know, I love Cartmel. It's one of my favourite tracks. Yeah. It's not for everyone, but I do love it. If you've never been, even for you flat boys, if you've never had a day out at Cartmel, you should try it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
It's a really good day out. But yeah, he just didn't get the run of the race there, did he?
No, it was frustrating. And it wasn't his track. He just wasn't. He kind of nothing. He was still going well. the thing is with Antalya, what I've always liked about him, he idles when he gets to the front, so that's why he's still well handicapped. So.
I don't think he's that easy to handicap.
No.
He's. I mean, if you think he's won a lot of, I mean, since he won first over hurdles, I mean, he won off a mark of 94 first, but he's since then he's won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's won 7 races since then. He's only up to one. That was 134 he ran off last time, and he's off 136 there. As I say, if Mr. Burns hasn't done me, then I quite fancy Antalya, and Botox is again pretty well handicapped from the Gary Moore stable. I'm hoping Gary Moore has a good day tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like your picks. So good stuff, Andy, for your 2 points. Coming to me to finish the round, going to Doncaster for the 2:30. Very keen on the James Fanshawe trained Wandering Rocks. This horse is very, very well handicapped. I know that's a difficult thing to say sometimes when a horse is rated 90, but in the case of this horse, it's all about stamina. Plenty of it. Pivotal dam sire. He's been crying out for soft ground also. Last time behind Sam Cook, he could be rated the best horse in the race. I felt because they did crawl. They really did crawl, and he'll reverse the form in Moxasab. Wandering Rocks, I think, has had something like 115%, 110%, 113% on the sectionals. So he's not had a pace ever to run at. And I'm not saying this race is blessed with pace, but I don't think they'll go as slow as what they seem to have done for the last 3 races. He's had to contest, one of which he won. So I feel that this horse has a lot to offer. Definitely better than 90. I love the booking of Ryan Moore because he is keen. It's just if you get the best handling, that's what you want. 3-1, I think, is a really good price. I'd be about 15 to 8, 7 to 4 favourite for this, because there's a few of these you can definitely say will not handle the type of ground on offer. This horse definitely will. So I'm excited for this. 3-1, nothing really more to add. For 2 points win, that's with William Hill, Ladbrokes or Skybet. Okay, the final round. I'll keep talking because Phil, you guys I've always gone last, so I'll go first for the 3-pointer. This goes in the 4:10 at Doncaster, and it goes in the quite valuable 5 furlong Vertem handicap, the last race on the Channel 4-age. Very, very keen on Carlsberg's Lullaby Bay, available at a 6-1 price, and this is very generous because this filly, she excelled towards the earlier part of last season on soft ground, really improved. Came back this season very late, so she came back sort of late this autumn after that early foray this season, and I like how she's built her fitness up because she's definitely got better. Redcar, she was desperately unlucky. I felt she was drawn in the middle, which wasn't ideal, and the race had already gone before she could get going, and she finished fast, nice and late. I thought that was an eye-catching run, and then I was waiting for them to back her in a normal handicap. So what did they do? Run her in the 5 furlong conditions race, the Flying Scotsman, where Mackinac was rated 100, Lampang 101, just another bottle 102. And she beat everything bar Mackinac and lost by a nose to 100 horse off the same mark. Incredible. Which I think that's a new rule from the BHA. I think that they leave them alone after conditions races. Am I right, or is that National Hunt, or have I got that confused?
Certainly doing National Hunt in North. Yeah, I'd have to look it up on the flat. Because
I find that really odd that they've left her on 83. You can't leave her on 83 for that, can you? You just can't. It's just impossible. You've beaten Lampang a length and a half. That's rated 101. So this is a bit of a blot. If you want to talk handicap mark, I mean, you're not going to shove her up that much, but But and she was caught on the wing that day, which I don't think helped because she likes a bit of cover, likes to travel, just get a lead. And I think she gets the lead because Count Dorsey will bomb on and etc. etc. So I think this was a superb bet at 6-1 each way, 150 odds, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. I thought this was superb. Absolutely maximum bet 1.5 each way. So good stuff. I'll kick it off. John, coming to you.
3 o'clock at Doncaster. Sophia's Starlight of Grant Chewers. Now, this really caught my eye on debut at Newcastle. The horse travelled all over the rest of the field to the furlong and a half pole. Sam James was waiting on a gap, and the gap came too late. But before anybody joins me in backing this, I would urge them to have a look at this race, because the way this horse finished was absolutely tremendous. It did look like a listed class horse in a maiden, which is what I think it was. The fact that it didn't win has helped the price enormously, I think. But I think it's been very, very underestimated. Had a reasonable look at the action. I think we'll be okay with the ground. It should certainly cope better than a few of these. I'm expecting massive improvement on the debut form. And as I say, I finished off in the style of a really useful horse. I like this one very much. 1.5 points each way.
That's a big price. 66-1 with Stoke. That's huge. That is an interesting run, and certainly one I'll be looking at after the show, John. So Sophia's Starlight.
Definitely. I'll have a look at this because I'll be impressed how she finished this race off.
Oh, interesting. 66ers with Denise, 1.5 each way for John. That's a monster. It's a monster. He's coming for a raid on the Naps title with that.
He's going to take me in. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to have to back it now, aren't I?
Yeah, that's a serious bet. And John's confidence there as well. Interesting. Andy, coming to you for your best.
Right. It's a relatively obscure, I think. I'm going to go to Kelso, one of my favourite little tracks. And so unless the sun shines there, because they have to leave out all the fences then. But that's not, it's not really their fault.
Then it becomes one of my favourite tracks.
I'm hoping it's not going to sunshine there tomorrow. And we're going to go the 5-10, leave it till the end. Brandy McQueen. Been watching this horse. He ran a couple of nice races at Perth and Kelso, I suppose in the spring, in May, won both of them. And the return after, a 4-month break at Perth in September, just the back end of September, was, for the grade, quite a decent little race. Came 4th of 8, looked like he needed the race. Every chance to define this mark of 104. The race is actually, it was actually the second out of that race, ran a horrible race yesterday, but it doesn't really put me off. The 5th out of that race, Bridge Road, I think is certainly capable of winning a race. It wasn't a bad race for the grade. You name him, won it. Brandy McQueen still off a decent mark. Probably outstays this lot. They're a ragtag bunch, I described them. If you look through them, there's not an awful lot that are going to improve. And Brandy McQueen is only a 5-year-old, trained by Harriet Graham and Gary Rutherford. And I think he's got a reasonable chance tomorrow. So I'm going to have 3 points on Brandy McQueen. Now he's had that little tune-up at Perth. I think he'll revert to the form that he showed at Perth and Kelso in the spring, and hopefully he'll dodle up tomorrow. I believe he was around 9-2, something like that. Brandy.
6-1, Andy, with Paddy's and better. 3 on the
nose. Brandy McQueen. That is far too big.
And if Brandy McQueen wins that, I think that will seal the deal for you for this season's Nap. So good luck with that.
Well, it won't if John's as pissed up with it.
That will make it. I rudely said it was between me, you, and Nick for the Naps title, and John's just chimed in with a 66-1.
Well, he'll be out in his little blue car, won't he?
Yeah. Well, it's Nick's on the last show on the 4th, November the 4th. So
I know you. Yeah, I know. Well, so am I. So I'll just try and novel all these selections and just back.
Is that this Cup special?
It is. In fact, I tell you what we might do for that. I might do the 5 of us. We might do me, you, Andy, Jack, and Nick. Well, we can do 5. We can have an extension. It's the Breeders' Cup weekend. So.
Yeah.
So anyway, So we'll do that. Anyway, onto Jack for his very best. And Jack told me earlier in the week that he was excited for this.
I am indeed, Lee. I think I might have one, but after hearing one of your bets, I'm slightly less confident. But we'll go with it anyway. So it comes to 150 at
the
Newbury.
Horrid Hill.
The Horrid Hill.
The Horrid Hill.
No klaxon, I'm afraid, on this.
Oh, we've got a difference of opinion, Jeffrey.
We do. Well, I'll make my case, and we'll see where we end up. So, I'm gonna take a flyer at one here, which I just think I looked at the race, and I thought, you know what, it's a decent renewal. We've got some nice unexposed types in here. You know, looking at kind of Striking Star, Lord of Biscay, which I think is a half to Bayside Boy, who we know all about. Obviously, you made a great case for Gray's Monument, Lee. You know, I don't think it's this one is a kind of win at all cost type, but I looked at the prices and I thought there's no way you can have this at well, it was 18 to 1 when I last looked. It's probably half of that now, but we'll see. Horse in question is Ed Bethel's Oviedo. Right. Yes, I know that's one that yourself and I both like, John. Again, as I mentioned in my last bet, he came from that Goffs Million race last time out, and I just don't think it was run to suit. It was a very trappy 19-runner affair. Kevin Stott has ridden a couple of shockers on this horse, and I'm quite pleased to see he's no longer on it, which is part of the reason why I've made the bet. But if you just put a line through that, and I think it looks like he's been priced on it, to be honest. You know, look at his early form. Debut win at Doncaster, very impressive. Caught a lot of people's eye that day. Followed up with a third in the Acomb, which is turning out to be a pretty good race. A couple of lengths behind Chaldine. We all know what he's gone on to do. And if you go back and watch that race, he was caught on the rail, one out, had to be switched out to finish, and absolutely flew home. Obviously, the front two were engaged in their own battle, and he had more space, but clocked the fastest final three in the race. And I just think, you know, I was quite surprised he's not in the Vertem Futurity, to be honest. I thought that'd be his kind of race, particularly stepping up to a mile. They've probably taken a look at that and said it's a pretty decent renewal. We'll take our chances here. And I just couldn't for the life of me see why he was as big as sort of 18, 16 to 1. You know, he's a Lope de Vega out of a Galileo mare. You know, notoriously Lope de Vega's a fine on soft stuff. His action would back that up too. You know, I think this is going to be a very nice 3-year-old, to be honest, and I hope that he's got the sort of class to kind of even take a race like this. So yeah, I'm pretty well. Was more confident before you chucked your hat in the ring, Lee, but I still think a decent bet. Oviedo with the 9 runners at 18s. I'm gonna wanker it, but yeah, pretty confident on that one.
That is an interesting choice. Obviously on that Acomb form, because you look back and certainly finishing 3 3/4 lengths behind Chaldine looks rather good now, doesn't it?
And you've had the local dynasty come out and won the listed at Ponte the other day. You know, a few winners in behind there too. I think it's a decent race, and he was certainly the eye catcher in it.
Yeah, I shall make sure I don't lose on Oviedo, and I mean, despite a large stake on Beckett's, purely from time purposes and everything else, it is, like you say, very compelling when you do think back that York run. If that hadn't a run at the Curragh and Bethel had just said, "Well, I'm giving him a break, come back in the autumn," he wouldn't have. What price would he have been?
He'd be half for that, and you know, I don't begrudge them having a pop at that. I mean, it was silly money, and I look at that race, and Charles Hill's managed to train the winner, so what can that be worth? So, you know, you write that one off, and you think he'll have a good go at this, I'd say.
No, like I say, if he does handle the slop, that is an interesting choice. I'm not gonna. So you're going definitely 1.5 each way, yes?
I am, Lee. Yeah, I mean, this race could cut up, of course, looking at how shit it was today. But you know, I think I'll stick. I think it's a bit of thievery at that kind of price.
No, I can't.
After chime in here, I've also backed that each way at 18th.
Yeah, no, I can't knock it. I absolutely can't. 18 to 1.
And I'll chime in because none of you. It's been an absolute shit show of a race for the favourite. It's a terrible race. You know, the last time the favourite won it.
Go on.
2004.
Ooh, Martingale system and doubling up, Andy, every year.
and a bonus point if you can tell me who trained the winner of the Horris Hill.
What when it last won?
He's also trained an ARC winner.
Jonathan Pease. Tessio.
Don't know.
Saeed, would that have been his era?
Nah.
Morris Silver.
Morris Silver, don't be silly. Sir Mark Prescott.
So,
the last favourite that won the Horris Hill. Cupid's Glory, 2004.
Cupid's Glory, yeah, back that in a nursery. Fantastic. Back of the net. There we go, yes.
Yes, was Aggie Paws.
Yeah.
So it's been a terrible race for favourites.
There we go. So statistically, we're on good ground because neither of the tips are favourite. Jack's made a sterling case to finish off the best bet round. Right, quickly on. Moving on to the television action. I'm sure that me, John and Jack have got plenty to say about Cheltenham. But first of all, we'll go to the television races. So we're going to start with the Horrid Hill. And as me and Jack have tipped, and John's already backed Oviedo, we'll go to Andy for his view on the Horrid Hill.
I think my view is you've just heard it. I'm going to lay the favourite.
Small lay off fab.
Small lay off favourite.
Is Andy's action right? Okay.
In that sort of ground, small lay of favourite. I mean, I think there's enough to say. Gray's Monument, Oviedo. I think it's quite a strong race actually, but striking start. As long as it doesn't go drift to silly price, but under 5 to 2, I'd be quite happy to take him on. And
I agree, really. Yeah.
Can it?
Yeah. Ambulance going past you, John. Again.
Yeah.
225.
That's how I like the fuckers going past.
You don't want them calling it yours.
Yeah.
220. Halloween after all. 225. We've got Hamish as half arm on Jolly. 4 to 6. Hamish. Is that value or is that a lay or a play? Given he'll love the ground.
Should win, shouldn't he? Another one that'll love the ground that hasn't had it since debut this year is Max Vega, but he's plenty of fan on the ratings.
Yeah, Max Vega absolutely loves the slot beast. But again, like you said, John, £12 to find unofficial ratings. But
yeah, he needs Hamish with bellyache, really, doesn't he?
I think you're sniffing around Betfair place markets, aren't you, tomorrow? With that?
Somebody might be.
You're sniffing. I can feel it now. Sniffing on that 3 and 4 places. Will they give a 4 place on that one?
Yeah, there is. I'm looking at it now.
Yeah, John will be there. 3 and 4 places. 4 places to pay for the stake on the 3 places. Yeah, I can see that from Leg tomorrow. Dirty like that. He's like dirty thief. Right. So, Jack, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I've had a few quid each way on Max Vega. He almost made my 3, to be honest. But as John said, he's got quite a lot to find. He's been pretty hopeless this year, but he likes the track. He likes the ground. I think he'll come forwards. Hamish, I thought a kind of word of warning. I was, looking at how he's been campaigned. So this will be his 4th run. Only had 3 last year. Bombed out on the 3rd. He's notoriously a bit of a fragile horse, and is this one run too many? It was a huge effort at the Irish Ledger. Obviously looked very impressive last time out, but I wouldn't be in a rush to take him as an odds-on poke, if I'm being honest. Very
well reasoned. I mean, do you follow Jack's reason that it could be a raspberry and can only do three runs a season? It could be. Do you want to take 8 of 11? But on what we know, if the Hamish turns up, Hamish wins.
Blogger will be on, won't he? He'll be.
Oh, of course, yeah. Blogger loves that bet.
Bet wanker double or whatever it is.
Yeah, he'll give a bullseye to anyone that retweets his tweet.
Hamish and the Fab in the Horris Hill.
A bullseye for anyone waiting there if you follow the blogger, but we're barred. Anyway, we've gone to Doncaster, so we've got the Carlsberg Marstons Doncaster Stakes. Aesop's Fables, the box filler for O'Brien for his other one in the Futurity. Is it a box filler? No, it's 6 to 4 actually. Aesop's Fables. Any view on this, chaps?
I've got one I quite like here.
Go on.
Simple Man.
That's what we are.
There's a stunned silence.
That's what we are. Only thing is, invincible spirit.
We are simple men.
Yeah.
It's not often you see a Henry Candy 2-year-old win first time out these days.
Very fair point.
So
that is true.
And they tend to turn out to be quite decent if they can win first time out. I will give you some of the ones that have won first time out for him. There was obviously Lamato was one of them. Else as he had win first time out. Dinkum Diamond, Kalachi. Obviously Lamato won first time out as a 2-year-old. Twilight Sun, Signal Peltro. They all turned out to be decent horses. So I'm working on the theory that if Henry can have a first time out, a 2-year-old winner, which he did with Simple Man, who absolutely dotted up at Nottingham on some fairly deep ground, this might actually be a little bit overpriced. Whether he's good enough to beat Aesop's Fables, Bresson and Hispanic is another matter, but I think he might outrun his price, which is 18 to 1. Henry this is the only first time out 2-year-old he's had this year, and the last one he had was back in 2020. He's had some other decent years, so I thought if the horse can overcome the handicap, inverted commas, of winning first time out from that yard, who don't normally have them tuned up, he might be quite useful. So I'll throw a dart at Simple Man in that 6 furlong listed race.
Good points. No, I like that. I like what you've stated over time with Henry Candy. Agreed. Jack, John, anything to add to this?
Yeah, we know John's gone on his Hail Mary, hasn't he, in this one? But I like both the cases. To be fair, I think as a general word of warning, it's just a day not to get stuck into short price favs. If you've got any hesitance about any of them, I mean, how many turn up in this after a Dewhurst a couple of weeks ago? I mean, it's not a natural route, is it? So I'd be a bit worried about that. I know his pedigree is all sprinter, and that might be fine, but I wouldn't be rushing to get stuck into him at kind of 5 to 4, 11 to 8.
No, indeed. I probably agree. I probably agree with some of your analysis, actually, where I probably want to take on the Fav as well. Bresson comes there with first-time blinds, which I don't like. I know Gosden's got a tremendous record with first-time blinkers. It's ridiculous with his record on that. But
tell you what, he's got a patch on his record with sabbaticals. 100% jockey's coming back from sabbaticals, winner. You'll wait till the next one he puts off for a while. Could be 5 years, for one bet, but we wait.
We do. We move on to the Vertem Futurity, the big Group 1 event, the final 2-year-old Group 1 event of the United Kingdom flat season. And Auguste Rodin is 11 to 10 favourite. I think that's too short, chaps. Even though I think the second favourite might just struggle on this ground. I genuinely believe the second favourite might not even run. I think Gosden's already quoted and said he's not really happy with very soft ground, so I could see that being a non-runner. If that comes out, then the dreaded each-way terms change, so we can't even each-way wanker. But Holloway Boy, I was disappointed to see the visor first time because I don't think he's ungenuine at all. I think genuinely he's been in some good races and he's struggled to quicken at vital moments. I think again the pivotal on the dam side just might help him. Like sort of he's a good galloper. He's Holloway Boy.
Putting the visor on that horse, he's a lovely horse.
Yeah, I don't like that. Obviously jockeys have got off him and said he's lazy. I don't think he's lazy. When you're running at Group 3, I mean they started off in Group, what was it, in the Cheshire? I mean, what an introduction for us. I tell you what, go and run with these lads and then beat them. And so he did. And then he's in the group. He's in the best races with top company. Nostrum, Silver Knot. These are very good horses. And yet they've stuck the visor on him. I think Carlsberg, knobhead. Anyway, simple as.
That's why you're having a shit season, Cal.
Yeah, so that's so. If the horse pulls hard in the visor, or just then go, I don't think this is the right move at all. I think you'd just let this run normal on the ground, thinking he might improve it that he's not had yet. King of Steel, fine big horse that won at Nottingham. Really big horse by Wootton Bassett, very impressive. Has a lot more improvement to make though. But you won't rule him out. Stonebuster, round action, that'll handle the ground. Salt Lake City, enters calculations, but I'm not so sure. What do we think, chaps? Jack, Andy, John, bring you to the floor.
I think Salt Lake City's got a hell of a chance myself.
Agreed.
I liked him very much going into the convivial, and then he ran like plenty of Aiden's can when they come to York for some strange reason.
Yeah, it was easy to back at York, wasn't he?
Yeah, and then he gets a chance to run over a mile on heavy ground, and he absolutely yagged up last time. I can't have it that there's this much between this one and the favourite.
Well, when you consider that Al Riffer that beat him, and I remember you, John, you messaged, I put Al Riffer up at 11-10 for the show, went off 2s on, won, but Salt Lake City, like you even said to me, if he'd have got after Salt Lake City, that'd have been interesting.
Yeah.
And he didn't. He gave it an easy, did Wayne Lorden, and then obviously disappointed badly in convivial, and then, like you say, gagged up last time. Could that be the angle?
I'd agree. I mean, I think, I think the fact they're sending him over, they must like him. I must admit, I did have a few quid on him at very, very silly. I mean, I say a few quid. It's a safer gambling special, so probably that's appropriate. But it was pennies at 100 to 1 on this. So I'm sat pretty on that at the moment. That was halfway through his maiden win at Navan, which he gagged up in the end. So yeah, I was even considering putting him up here, but then our good friend Butterbean at Betfair stuck him up as well, so he's
Calvin, we've got 2 nicknames. It's the Thumb and Butterbean. This is tremendous stuff. He'll love this. I hope he listens. I might tag him in it. This is Butterbean.
I think he blocked me a while ago, to be honest. So
yeah.
But yeah, fuck it, Butterbean. Anyway, so he stuck him up. So yeah, I'd agree with the guys. I think he's worth a pop. But look, this is a good race, and I crunched the numbers a bit on previous renewals of this. So last 5 years, winner Luxembourg, Max Winey, Kamiko, Magna Graecia, Saxon Warrior. 4 out of them won a classic. Luxembourg Group 1 winner. Placed in those years, Bayside Boys, State of Rest, Kinross, Circus Maximus, Roaring Lion, all Group 1 winners going forward. Obviously it's desperate ground tomorrow, and we'll see what happens. But keep an eye on this race next year, is what I'd say.
Yeah, good stuff. I like it. Andy, anything to add?
I must admit, I do like King of Steel. It's hard to judge. I mean, it was a real demolition job he did on the. But Nottingham, wouldn't it? He's done quite well. Those ammo racing 2-year-olds have done well first time out this year. I've been following them. If they get backed, then they've generally done the business. There was one at Newmarket this week on that 2-year-old card. His name escapes me at the moment. In 20 years between 1992 and 2012, there were 5 former winners who were successful after winning a maiden or running a maiden. So you can do it. The one thing I'd say about Salt Lake City as a horse I do like, none of the 10 Ballydor winners had SPs over 9-2. So
let's back it in. Let's make it fall.
If you want to back it, you're going to have to hammer it into SPs. So you better get your money on it. They're the two sort of double figure prices I actually quite like if I played in the race, and I might just ever throw a few quid at them. The interesting one for me is King of Steel. I think he's an intriguing contender, and David Loughnane is a decent trainer as well, and that was a good winning debut as well. Was it 4 3/4 lengths he won by in the end?
Yeah,
it's quite impressive, but it wasn't that long ago, and to come here, it's a big ask. Be interesting to see how he runs. As Jack says, I think it's a race to keep an eye on for next year as well.
Right, big result. I mean, for Coolmore as well. If Coolmore don't win the race, they'll be more than happy if a Wootton Bassett wins. So yeah, it'd be like, it's like their saver, isn't it? Let's have a saver. So Coolmore at least there got plenty of representation. Okay, right, it's Cheltenham time, and I'm sure John and Jack have got plenty to add on this. This is where Jack falls asleep, and John probably also falls asleep. But we're gonna have a go. And Fry's been on, so to kick us off for Cheltenham, Fry has been on. She can't make the show. She's probably, I don't know, saving someone's life in a Lido.
Cheltenham Lido.
Yeah, there's something.
She'll be hauling a Cindy doll out of the foot wash.
Yeah. Fry. So Fry can't make the show, but there are 4 bets from Fry tomorrow, and I'm going to start at the 105 at Kelso. She says 10, 10, 20 of the Jeffreys yard, 13-2 available. She said the run came too soon for 10, 10, 20 last time. That's why disappointed. She's very confident that will run a big race at 13-2 there in the 105 at Kelso. A second bet goes in the 248 at Kelso, where she says she's going blogger style. But blogger style I always associate with like 4 to 6. At 248 at Kelso, she's going with Does He Know of Kim Bailey's at 7-2. She says this has got an outstanding chance. Touch of class compared to these. Goes well fresh. He's had a wind up since the Ultima run. Won first time out last 2 seasons. What is not to like, she says. Next bet goes in the 315 at Cheltenham, which is the where we talked about this earlier with Andy very keen on Editor De Geet. Alan Rogers will be keen on his, I bet, tomorrow. Clear the runway. Effenock Fizz. Fry likes the Fav, by the way. So Andy, so she did make a mention that she liked the Fav, but she did say that Effenock Fizz was a bit of value. She's a quality mare, and she thinks there's a lot more to come from this season. 15-2 was a decent play. And last but not least, a massive price here for Fry fanboys. This is what Fry fanboys tune into the show just for Fry. If I could do Fry's voice, I'd do it. So I'm sorry you won't get off on that. But but the 350 race.
You obviously think there's listeners at half match.
Yes.
The Fry's speaking.
Yeah, bashing the sword. Yeah. 350 Cheltenham, the Pertemps. That's Fry's 4th, and she's very excited for Story Rory at 40-1. She thinks this is a ridiculous price because basically, like she says about most Pertemps qualifiers, that basically will be trying, but Andy does make a good point. She says it'll improve for the trip. This is what it wants. Wants 3 miles. This is big improvement. Sam Ewing, good jockey. But Andy made a good point earlier regarding the qualifying rules changing to first 4. So maybe, just maybe, we'll see a few more triers at the top end of the weights.
It's halved in about 2 years, isn't it? Because it was 8, then they cut it to 6, and now it's down to 4.
Yeah, JP had got it off to a fine art. JP's fault. He got it off to
the very good qualifier is the one they won at Warwick after Christmas. The winners come out of that several times. It's the one they run. I think they ran it on the same day as that Warwick Classic Chase, the 3 mile 5.
Yes, that exactly. Yeah,
winners come out of that quite a bit. That's always one of the qualifiers to watch. As are the I think there's only 2 Irish qualifiers. Although we did them last year, didn't we? The Handicapper did them last year. Sorted them out last year, didn't he? Because we had what did we have? The 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, something like that.
Yes, it was quite a shock actually. Yeah. But there was a lot of I think the one I backed got hampered in running. That Geordie Deschamps, was it the Elliott runner?
I think it was that race that knackered our bet on the Irish to win all the handicap hurdles, wasn't it?
It did, yeah, by 1. We failed by 1 again. Yeah, this is where we get. I'm the unluckiest man on earth. Right, Andy. Just to finish the show because we sort of pushed for time. We've already done the 315 because that's your bet, and the 350. Which I do like your selections in that. Can you take us through the 205 and 240 to finish us off?
Well, the obvious one in the 205 is the Hollow Ginge, with his first time out record. I wouldn't be keen on backing him at the price, I must admit, but you go through the rest of the field. Tullybag ran today, didn't run particularly well. Neville's Cross, it's probably got a little bit too much weight. Captain Cattistop wants decent ground, and it certainly wasn't heading that way. The Wolf is inclined to throw in the odd mistake. Motown Maggie's a an Elliott runner in this. I suppose the only one that I would say out, I don't really want to back the Hollow Ginge because he's not really a horse that I particularly like. But if you're going to catch him, you've got to catch him first time out, to be honest with you. And he's well backed. The only other one I did consider was this Courserin, John G. O'Neill's. As I said, the stable has started the season pretty well. He's actually quite well handicapped. His chasing form's a little bit patchy, but in a race where you wouldn't really want to be going in on many of them, he's an alternative to the Hollow Ginge. And the other race was the
240, the
240 race. Yeah. I think the prices are about right now, Pied, but they've obviously got previous, haven't they, from Aintree last year with Pied Piper and Night Salute. I always think Night Salute looks a bit of a hard ride, to be honest with you. There's only 5 going. Night Salute, 1 here. To be honest with you, I'd probably go with Pied Piper. I think he probably got committed. He committed was he 3rd in the Triumph too early at Aintree. I'd probably be with Pied Piper there, but it isn't a particularly appealing race from a betting perspective. I actually thought the card today was slightly more interesting than Saturday's card. It's a little bit weak, Saturday's card, to be honest with you, apart from the Thames qualifier and the decent handicap chase with Editor de Gite in. I say I think Pied Piper. I think the prices are about right now. I wouldn't be betting in the race. And as I say, if you wanted to take on, I wouldn't be taking on the Hollow Ginge, but Courserin would be a value alternative.
Now, just one thing about Night Salute against Pied Piper. Had a dental operation over the summer, did Night Salute, to repair a cracked tooth. Wonder if that'll improve it. Milton Bradley seems bullish. He says he's improved a lot since last year.
Certainly exploring the outside route today.
And Paddy does. Yeah, Paddy genuinely does. Yeah, Paddy's a known jockey at Cheltenham when the ground.
It didn't quite work out today. I don't think it was soft enough, but he will be probably trying that route again, I would have thought.
Interesting race that. So I might even back Night Salute if it's going to be, if there's too much difference between them, 10 to 11, 11 to 4.
If it gets further apart, then you'd think that Night Salute is probably the value loser.
Yeah. You can say after the race, yeah, but it was value. Yeah. Indeed. Right. That's perfectly summed up. I hope you enjoyed the show, folks. It's been a pleasure as always. Us 3 degenerates, me, John and Chris, are back on Sunday to talk turkey about the week that's gone, God forbid. So if you want to join us for that, please do so. As the usual time, about 7:30 on Sunday evening. That's all from us. Bye for now.